Do you have a cold open?
I don't.
Every time I think of things, I always forget them. Which makes them.
If you think of something, you should write it down.
Well, it's usually while I'm in the shower or driving.
Well, I mean, shower thoughts is a known phenomenon.
I come up with great ideas in the shower.
It's harder to record in the shower. If you're in your car, you can just take a voice memo on your phone, right?
Yeah, I never think to use it like that.
Well, think now. Now you will, because it's been put in your little gray cells, and the next time you have a great idea, you're driving, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I can just like voice memo this.
What are you, Perot?
Ross Perot, the third-party presidential candidate from 1980?
What's his name? The Agatha Christie character.
Oh, Poirot.
Poirot.
Hercule Poirot. I just
Isn't he the one who always says little gray cells?
Yeah, I just downloaded The Mysterious Affair at Styles, which is the first Agatha Christie novel he appears in. So it was in the front of my little gray cells. I've
played and finished several Agatha Christie-based video games.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh yeah, there's some really good ones.
That might get me back into video gaming, actually.
I
love Agatha Christie.
There's there are actually some mystery type video games like that don't fucking suck. That are actually really fun. And the cool thing about the Poirot ones they do these things where you have to go into your little gray cells and you have to like connect pieces of information together, and then you take two pieces of information and you make the connection between them, and it creates a third piece of information.
Agatha Christie never wrote about that.
No, but it's
how Hercule Poirot's brain works, you're saying?
I think they just took. I mean, he always says that. Oh, get my little gray cells working. Or
yeah. He because it's the eureka phenomenon where he like puts the information in there and then he goes to sleep or smokes a cigar or whatever, and then he has a aha moment.
Well, but as a video game interface to give you something to do other than walk around and point at things,
right?
Or talk to people, it gives you a little interactive thing that gives the illusion of solving crimes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
But really, they're just like really evolved Zork.
Which is an ancient game that people used to play.
With the Wumpus. Do you remember the Wumpus?
I don't remember the Wumpus. I remember the Grooze.
Maybe it wasn't the Wumpus.
They invented Grooze just so that you would have to have a light source in the caves.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't have a light source, then there's this monster that'll come get you. Otherwise, they couldn't figure out a way to prevent you from just like, I don't need to find a light. I'm just going to hit north, south, east, west until I get somewhere.
There's no light in this text.
Yeah, it's just text. You don't actually see anything except words.
Oh, yeah. Hunt the Wumpus was a video game, 1973.
Yeah, I barely played any Zork except for Grand Inquisitor, which strangely was a graphical one where you would like point and click on things and figure out puzzles, and it was pretty good.
Actually, there's like a small resurgence in taking those games and remastering them, so to speak. So like Steve Jackson has, I think it was Steve Jackson, I don't remember. But anyway, there's several of those old school games that they've taken because they're fun. It just sucks to just have the words. And so they like made big graphic interfaces for them and stuff. They're still like screen to screen to screen to screen, but they're a little more interactive, and you don't have to type the sentences anymore. But
nice. I was just trying to look up to see whether it was Steve Jackson. Dork Tower.
Dork Tower.
I don't see any reference to Steve Jackson and Zork.
No, it wasn't Zork specifically.
Oh, it wasn't Zork. Oh, okay.
No. I'm just saying, I just saw one of those was on sale. I think it was the Steve Jackson collection or something. That was a bunch of those games that they bundled together that used to be text-based that they converted them. It was like Sorcery, I think.
Oh, maybe. I love Steve Jackson. I'm surprised we haven't mentioned him before because I don't think we have.
Steve Jackson Games?
Steve Jackson Games. But he's another person that I met at Penguicon.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see. Car Wars was a big one.
Car Wars was the first Steve Jackson game I ever played.
Same.
And then I got into Illuminati, which is what introduced me to the Illuminatus trilogy and Robert Anton Wilson.
Nice.
Which changed my life and rocked my world in all kinds of ways.
I think that card's still worth money. The Twin Towers getting struck by an airplane.
Oh, yeah.
Like in 2000 or like, no, it was like 1990. Like it was ways before September 11th.
It was the like Titanic predicted in the novel futility of its time.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good place for this theme song, I guess. Welcome to Your Aleatoric Reality, the show that didn't think of something to say as a tagline before this moment.
The show that phones it in more and more every episode.
God damn it. All right. Well, I'm not going to ask for feedback then.
No, we're leaning into the randomness.
I already
That's
got
our
it.
excuse. See,
We are leaning into the randomness, which brings us to our first point of business. We do need to roll to see whether this is the end of season 1. And I think we're up to a 50-50 chance at this point, aren't we? No, last time
we just did 1 in 6.
we did 1 in 6 last time. So it's got to be, are we increasing the odds? Anytime a question is asked,
Okay,
you need to roll for whether it increases.
Yar increases the odds. Your aleatoric reality stays the same.
Okay. He's flipping his D2.
Increases the odds.
Okay, so now it's 2 and 6. You're going to roll a 6er, and if it's a 1 or a 2, this is the last episode of season 1.
Or if it's a 1 on my D3.
Okay, I'll allow it.
It is a rock, which is also a 1, which is the end.
This is the end.
Yep.
My only friend, the end.
So wait, what does that involve?
I don't need to pay for that rendition. That's fair use.
It was bad enough that I don't think anybody will know what it was.
Not identifiable. Certainly not identifiable by an algorithm. I don't have any listener emails because why would anybody want to talk to us? And so we have one thing left. I don't know.
No, hold on.
Oh, I do have a news. Go ahead.
But we have to. I asked you a question. So what does it involve now? So it's now going to be season 2, next episode.
The next episode, should we choose to continue this show, will be episode 1 of season 2.
Right.
Maybe we should roll for that too. I don't know.
But so what do we have to do? We have to make a new picture. That was the primary
We have to
thing.
the primary goal of ending season 1 is so that we can change the cover image of the show. Yes. And I think maybe a modification or an update to the theme song would be in order.
Okay.
So maybe we'll take a week or 2 off to do those updates, get some episodes in the queue.
Sure.
But if any of these decisions you want to roll for, that's what we're here for.
Well, I mean, I like the theme song. I did want to add that. Remember, I came up with that little computer saying your aleatoric reality.
Oh, we could add the voiceover,
Yeah.
the computer voiceover saying the name of the show. That's a nice idea.
I could even make it say season 2.
And then when season 3 comes, we'll have to roll for what to do next.
Right.
All right, but we didn't roll for that. We just decided that.
Oh, well, do you want to roll for that?
I don't know. You tell us, listeners, and by the time you tell us, it will be too late because we're recording this last episode now.
Well,
So for season 2, we're going to change the cover image,
yeah, we're not rolling for that. That's
add voiceover.
no. So no.
But we will have to roll for what to make the new image.
Right.
And we'll do that on season 2, episode 1.
Gotcha.
Add voiceover to theme song. Season 2, episode 1. Roll for new image. Okay. Then that brings us to news.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a news item here about more randomness in chess.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was an annual conference that MIT runs called the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. And chess was discussed. I believe there's a site called chess.com that is a participant in this conference. And they did a panel where they were talking about how to keep chess fresh and accessible, which I don't know why they were talking about this because chess is like 3,000 years old or something.
Right.
So why would you want to keep it fresh and accessible? Yes, but fresh. I don't know. We don't need a lot of chess innovation. I don't think.
Well, so like for example, with the Fisher random method, which we've talked about on the show before,
right?
Where you draw the back row out of a bag.
Uh-huh.
Now, I mistakenly said at the time that each person drew their back row, but no, it's whoever's white draws their back row, and then that's mirrored.
Black matches it.
Right. Which, however, here's the thing about that, right? It seems like not a big deal to people that don't play chess, But half of chess, if not 98% of chess, if not 100% of chess if you're AI, is memorizing and studying games and predicting plays based on initial moves and the array of moves that come from a single
decision
move.
tree.
Correct. Yeah, thank you.
So a regular computer chess can do the decision tree and work on probabilities of success, but an AI can work on the decision tree and a record of every professional chess game that's ever been documented to get insight on which route to go.
Exactly, and neither of them will have that back row.
Yes.
So they will not. What do they do then?
The AIs would be confounded, I would assume. They would still have the decision tree, but they wouldn't have any basis for figuring out what to do with that decision tree other than the standard computer way of analyzing the probabilities of winning on any given. Like just take the one that's most likely to lead to a checkmate on their
But
side.
it would be a reactive analysis, not a predictive analysis.
Exactly.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that, in my mind, would be the only way that I could think of to keep chess fresh and exciting. But sorry, I interrupted you with that.
Why? No, you're not interrupting. Like this is the show.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about what they came to.
Yeah, the headline has randomness in it, but then like they don't really say much. They just like there's a quote from somebody on the panel that was like, it really got me thinking about the appropriate ways to think about randomness in chess and the right ways to do it. Doesn't really say more than that.
It's because it was written by AI.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, it claims to be written by a person. The article that I'm looking at is written by Tarjei Svensson, Norwegian chess journalist.
Oh.
But he's just reporting something that the panel said. It's not very clear to me what they're talking about because chess is not at all random.
Exactly.
There's zero
That's the point.
randomness in chess.
That's why the introduction of randomness to chess would make it a completely different game.
Yeah, we need to get on this panel at the Sports Analytics Conference next year and tell them all about it.
You know, I imagine that I would actually love that conference, even though I don't really give a flying fuck about sports at all.
And how do they get away with calling chess a sport? That's what I would like to know.
Heavier pieces?
Double the lead, or make them 2 feet tall and solid lead.
Or no, you have to be the knight.
Yeah.
It's Harry Potter chess or whatever. But no, that an analytics conference would be fascinating. I'm sure I would get lost in that.
Better you than me.
Oh, that's
This is why you're a data guy.
Yeah. No, but I mean to look at that would I'm curious to see what they actually came up with as far as randomness is concerned and their reasoning.
So, the panel is talking about because there was randomness in other games that were being discussed. They started discussing how we might think about randomness in chess. And what he said was there are already variants out there, such as Chess 960, which is what you were talking about on an earlier episode that Bobby Fischer came up with the randomized back row.
Why is it called 960?
That's a great question. Let's find out. Chess 960, also known as Fischer Random Chess. I am unable to find out why. Oh, naming. Chess 960 is used by FIDE, the International Chess Federation, in their Laws of Chess document. Why did they call it that? I don't know.
Because Chess 69 was taken? Dude.
Oh, it's the possible permutations.
Oh.
There's 960 possible starting positions for the pieces on the back rank.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, which would be there's eight. Well, there's 8 pieces, but 6 of them are identical pairs.
Correct.
Which means there are 5 different pieces, which would make it 5. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this on the fly because there could be 8 on the first piece. Then you have. Or is it a simple factorial of 8?
I think it's a factorial of 8. It would be 5 times 8. No, that would be 480.
No, that's 40,000. Yeah, so they've taken into account the duplicate pieces being like if you have bishop 1 and bishop 2 reversed, that doesn't change the actual status. So there's 960 different possibilities for the back row. That's why they call it chess 960.
So is castling out?
In chess 960,
because it seems like the only thing that would be affected.
You can castle on chess 960, but there's all kinds of different rules about it because of they can be in different positions, right?
But it's still
the king still moves toward the rook, and the rook goes on the other side of the king.
Gotcha.
But there's a lot of different ways that can play out because the king and the rooks might be in any number of places to start.
Interesting.
So anyhow, yeah, and then the Fog of War. Well, chess 960 is a version of chess that does have randomness in it. Fog of War, I don't think should be brought up in a randomness context. No offense intended to this panel discussion, but Fog of War is where, and it can only be done on a computer because you can only see your pieces and squares that your pieces can move to. So that all of the board that you can't move to will be obscured. So you don't know where any of your opponent's pieces are unless they're in a direct line of attack that you have.
That's interesting. That's really interesting because it also means you can't see moves that you can't see.
So it introduces quite a bit of unpredictability.
Well, so you know what the back row looks like because it matches yours, even though the back row is random.
Right, but you don't know when those pieces have been moved.
Interesting. So wouldn't you say the lack of knowledge is a form of randomness? I mean, it changes your deciding factors.
I wouldn't say it's random because, well, no, you're conflating Fog of War and 960. I mean, you know the back row because it's standard chess. Fog of War doesn't use any randomness to.
I thought they meant the two combined.
No, he was just listing those as examples of randomness already being used in chess.
Gotcha.
So I would say chess 960 is randomness because you're randomly determining the order of the back row, but Fog of War is not random. It's just that you don't have all the information. It's withheld information.
It's obscuring predictability, which is yeah, you're right. That's not randomness, but it is a way to.
It's a way to mix it up and get jazzy with chess
and feint
and potentially because I think where he came from with this was the idea of leveling the playing field between like an expert player and a non-expert player, which has always been an issue. Because if you're a serious chess player, you have a ranking and you play people near or around your ranking. As you rise up, then you play better people. But if we want to play chess with our kids or somebody who's good at chess, there's no implicit way in chess to make there's no handicap in chess like there is in golf.
Right. No, but I think the only thing that makes you good at chess is memorization.
Standard chess, sure, yeah.
And that's what they're removing. So you actually have to be a good chess strategist rather than, just reading the board and seeing things you've seen before.
Right.
Which is not the same as being a good strategist. I guess, well, in a way it is. So it's a matter of perspective.
Right. That's just like a form of hierarchy where I'm better at chess because I've played it more than you have, a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's just rewarding the time spent doing it rather than any innate strategic thinking. All right. Well, that's the news. Let's pick a segment.
I was just going to say, chess is the only game I've ever heard of where somebody could actually just be entertained by playing it by themselves in their head. I mean, a lot of those, and it's also probably a flag for autism, but
as depicted in Queen's Gambit,
and Bobby
when Anya
Fischer,
Taylor-Joy is just visualizing the giant chess pieces on her ceiling.
And almost every time you read or watch a movie or anything about chess, these guys are reading books about chess, and all it is just a list of the moves in succession, and they're visualizing that as they read it.
That's a very ungame-like spirit to approach a game.
Exactly, that's my whole point. That's why I think it's really interesting to introduce randomness to that, because it kind of defeats the legacy of chess.
Maybe we should add playing Chess 960 to our list of games that we could play for the show.
Sure.
Or we could just play it and then post our what happened, our thoughts on it afterwards. Because nobody wants to sit and listen to someone play a game of chess on audio.
Actually, some people do, but probably not the same ones that listen to this podcast.
They certainly wouldn't want to listen to us playing it the way we are going to play it.
Yeah, terribly. I've never been really good at chess because I've just
because you haven't read about chess for like 300 hours.
Invariably, every single time I make a move, I go, "Oh, damn it!"
Right. And I get so overconfident. Like, I way overestimate my chess ability every time I play anyone. And I'm just like, haha. And then, like, my daughter, when she was 5, would just, like, take a piece that I did not even know was in danger. I'm like, oh, my God, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to, like, slay her, and she's, like, holding her own. Anyhow, that's how bad I am at chess.
Fair.
So let's roll for a segment.
Okay.
Shall we?
Should I roll?
Well, do you have a fair D5? Because we got 5 possibilities today.
I do. Well, I have a potentially fair D5. Did you roll it at all?
Did I roll that one?
The new one?
The new one, I have not continued my testing of that one.
Okay. I mean, I think this one is just as fair as it's probably going to come out about the same. So let's just it's of the D5s that I have, it is the fairest one.
Okay, let's roll it. Wait, you don't have the game science one anymore?
Oh, I do.
What? I mean,
But I don't know that this is a fair D5.
because we haven't tested it.
Right.
Fair enough. All right, what'd you roll on yours?
5.
Okay. Well, don't hate me. Number 5 is Q&A.
Oh, no.
And I have assembled. Isn't it fitting, though, that we're ending the season the same way we began, questioning
Bookends.
Damon, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I have previously set up, because I put this as a possibility on the list, I have previously come up with a set of, kind of random weird questions and questions for Damon, and then randomize them. So right now we need, I think there's 15 possibilities. They're already in random order, but I need a number from 1 to 15, which I could do on yar.quest/tools unless you have a 16-sider and you want to re-roll on a 16.
I have a 16.
So re-roll on a 16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. What'd you get?
7.
7. I'm going to ask you the first 7 questions on this randomized list of questions, and that's how we're going to wrap up season 1.
Okay.
6, 7. Alrighty. Question number 1. Have you ever made a major decision using randomness? For example, a coin flip, dice, etc. Any type of randomness.
A major decision?
By your definition of major.
No. I mean, no, not using a impartial advocate.
No?
No. Nothing life-changing.
Okay, but what would you say is the most, if not major, but most significant decision that you've made through random means?
And we're not counting, this is weird, fuck it.
What do you mean?
Well, because I've done that a lot, where it's like every part of me says, don't do this, but that's why I'm going to do it.
But that's not randomly determined.
No,
You're still
it's just
deciding
leaning
to go
into
like,
surfing reality or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that counts as random adjacent.
Yeah, but no, that's not what you asked. Stock purchases is probably the biggest one.
Which you did on the show.
Yep.
That's great. We captured.
I also did it outside of the show.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Did it work out?
Some did, some didn't. I didn't lean into it as heavily as I did with some of my other stuff, but it was just kind of a fuck it.
Well, that's great to hear that you've taken it outside the show. I mean, I know you've done it before as well as I have, but it's always good to hear stories about people taking randomness into their life. All right. Question number 2. If you could pick one specific moment in your life to relive at random times, which would it be?
At random times?
That's how the question is worded. Like, let's for the sake of argument, let's say.
I mean, I can think of an obvious example, but it might be awkward if it just comes to me randomly, like Slaughterhouse 5. Or it would become
right, like that. That's what I'm getting from the way this is worded. Is that you like? There's some weird supervillain who has this power, and you have to choose a moment in your life, and from then on, at random intervals, just randomly, whenever you're gonna relive it.
It's like the Billy Pilgrim effect.
Right.
I like this.
So, I mean, do you have a idea for that?
Yeah. Well, I have one idea, but that wouldn't be a very good one because it could be very inopportune. It's the obvious one, but
Sex.
No, not the full act, just the results.
I mean, that like so we need to parse this question a little more, because does that mean that whatever that item was, whatever that experience was, is going to come to you right where you are at that moment?
Right. That's why I'm not picking
whatever,
it.
like not change anything else around you, or if it were Slaughterhouse 5, your consciousness would be transported to that moment. You would experience it, and then your consciousness would be back to the next moment before it started.
The Tralfamadorians believe that all states of time are happening simultaneously.
I think a lot of physicists believe that too.
Like bugs in amber, I believe they said. But anyway, they also look like plungers. So these are all Slaughterhouse 5 related jokes.
Okay. I've only ever seen the movie.
Yeah. They're like a plunger with a hand at the end, with an eye in the middle of the hand.
Oh, yeah.
And but they anyway, no, I know exactly what it'd be. One time I was walking along and I looked down on the ground and I saw a wad of money and I picked it up, and it was $250.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want that to happen to me randomly all the time.
Yeah. The most money I ever found at once was $100. It was a $100 bill, and it was on a ski slope in the snow, in like the middle of the slope.
In a bear trap.
Yeah. It wasn't in a bear trap. But I'm just skiing, and I don't know what, like out of the corner of my eye, it could have been a leaf, but I was just like, for whatever reason, hey, what's that? And I went over, and it was a $100 bill.
Wow. No, yeah.
But $250 is quite a take.
Yep.
And you didn't even need to be invisible for that.
No.
All right. Question number 3. What's a random fact about yourself that most people don't know?
Oh, I don't know. I was born in Salt Lake City.
A lot of people don't know that. I know that.
I mean, I don't know.
I guess I only know that because I went to Salt Lake City. You're like, hey, I'm from there.
Yeah.
But I knew that before. You told me that before.
Well, okay. So now it's instead of random, it's things you don't know.
I mean, if that's your answer, that's your answer.
I can't think of anything. I'm too brain dead today.
No, I mean, that's fine. If a lot of people don't know you're from Salt Lake, then that's a valid answer.
I don't know if you know this. So, I used to shoot Civil War black powder. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do we need to go further into that for listeners? Like,
it was just basically a team-based competition, shooting authentic Civil War firearms.
Is that like with a ramrod? Like you got to load the gunpowder and
depends on what competition it is. There's a carbine competition, rifled muskets, Henry repeaters were a competition, revolvers were a competition.
Oh wow!
But, yeah. But long story short, there was a heated debate because some people thought that you should just wear anything that slightly resembled a Civil War uniform, and other people thought, because the whole idea of teams is your team would don the facsimile of a historical regiment, and then you would emulate their uniform, and so it was an aside. It wasn't reenacting. Like nobody was really that into it, but also some people would literally like have polyester pants instead of wool, and so I mean I leaned into the nerddom of it, and so anyway on a what's the right word? But basically on a dare, but it wasn't a dare. It was, put your money where your mouth is kind of situation. I then went and basically did all the research that someone would write a book from on the uniform that I was supposed to wear, and then actually made a copy of it. Learned to sew, and listen, a year.
Much like you did with dice or effects pedals or any other hobbies that you get into, you just learned everything about it and figured out how to learn, just taught yourself how to do it.
The coolest part of that, though, the very coolest part of that was I actually went to DC, went to the archives, and pulled record books.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that is
hardcore nerdery.
So here's the deal, and I guess we're going to depart down this path slightly, and I'll try to not to bore our dear listeners. But one of the things that was purported to have happened. So the regiment that we were representing was the 11th Indiana, and they were stationed outside of New Orleans, and because of supply routes and stuff like that, and just generally less, more lax procedures, there were, people have take Confederate buckles and plates off of the ammo pouches and turn them upside down, and kind of have this semi-uniform where it was like part civilian clothes, part issue clothes and stuff like that, and it was heavily debated. I mean, I believe it probably still is. I just don't have anything to do with it anymore. But everybody would say, "Oh, that never happened. That's just a fantasy." And I actually found in one of the order books an order that said the following things will no longer be permitted. And it was like muddy pants tucked into muddier boots. And then went on to describe all the civilian hats, civilian vests, all the things. Now, this specific list is evidence de facto that happened, because nobody was just imagining that happening and bothered to write an order book. But anyway, so that was one thing I found that I just kind of blew my mind. And plus, like, you're holding the original order book.
Yeah.
And there are bugs like squished between the pages and candle wax.
Because it was out in the field.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we got there with that question.
Oh, but so anyway, I actually won an award for that.
You should have.
Most people take like 20 years to win.
Yeah, because you just out-researched all those other nerds. You out-nerded the other nerds.
Yeah, I ended up reading a lot of diaries, too, because I was trying. It was like there was a uniform that I was trying to prove had been issued that was an undocumented uniform, because originally they were one of the Union regiments who wore gray. And that became a problem for obvious reasons, as, the teams shouldn't both be wearing the same uniform.
Right.
And so they switched to this because it was a zouave, like a French zouave style jacket. And then they eventually just went to kind of a regular Union looking, but that was considered the second uniform by most people, but I considered it the third uniform because I found a picture of one in between. And then I was trying to document that, except I couldn't find what color the little floral thing that came up on the vest was. And so finally, after like reading all these fucking boring as today it's cloudy, I miss my sister, they took away our whiskey rations. I mean, it was just the same thing, like every day, over and over and over again. And then finally one guy mentioned, "Oh, we got these new uniforms today, and they have this cool light blue applique or whatever. I forget what they're called. I knew at the time. And then I knew for sure exactly what color it was.
Light blue.
Yep.
Wow. The lengths that you went to just to prove somebody else wrong.
That's how my hobbies always, I mean, they don't usually start off as adversarial.
You had an unquestionably, irrefutably sourced, authentic uniform. And I'm glad you won an award because you deserved it.
Thank you. Yeah, the judges were pretty blown away, actually, by some of the research. I don't know where it is now.
Yeah. That's how the past is for, a lot of things. I had this thing. I don't know what happened to it. It's gone now. Let's suppose a wizard gives you the power. Are those sirens going to show up on this recording? I guess, random.
Yep, random sirens.
Listen to the random sirens, folks, if you can hear them on my microphone. Otherwise, I'm just a delusional, babbling idiot. A wizard gives you the power to control one completely useless aspect of randomness, like the direction toast lands. What do you choose?
Toast always lands butter side down, and cats always land on their feet. That's why you can tie the toast to the cat.
And make a perpetual motion machine.
Correct.
Yeah. But if you could control the random outcome of one specific thing, what do you think you would choose?
Always roll 20s.
Always roll 20s. That's exactly what I was thinking. What better power could there be than to always roll 20s?
But what I was, then in my mind, it was like, well, wait, it's not random anymore. Once you control it.
I mean, that's going to take us down a philosophical rabbit hole if we start talking about what is controlled randomness.
Right.
Anyhow, moving on. If you could instantly do, we're not going to get to any of the specific questions for you. That's okay. If you could instantly be an expert at one completely useless skill, what would it be?
I don't know. I can't think of a useless skill.
Juggling?
Juggling is not useless. It's awesome. So if it's going to go down there, it'd be sleight of hand.
Yeah, I guess that's not useless.
No.
I mean, what is if it's useless? Is it a skill?
Put pocketing.
What is a useless skill? Put pocketing.
I always just want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's where you put random things in someone else's pockets.
For them to find later and be
Right.
like, how the hell did this get here?
Rather than taking
What is
things
this?
out of their...
Yeah. Reminds me of drop lifting. You heard of drop lifting? It's that equivalent in shoplifting. And instead of
Right.
taking stuff from a store, you go and leave stuff in a store. People used to do it a lot with like their CDs.
Uh-huh.
They would like burn their own CD and make a label for it and then like go and put it at the record store. Just leave it there.
Oh. You ever see Obvious Plant?
No.
Obvious Plant is a I don't know if it's Facebook or a social media thing where he does that, but it's like toys that make no sense or like yeah.
Nice.
The last one I think I saw was like Screaming Muppet, and it was like a Kermit, but it had a full set of teeth for no particular reason. Then when you squeeze it, it would just have this like recording of like this horrific scream.
I love art that is deliberately designed for no other purpose than to confuse people.
Yes,
I think that's awesome.
yeah.
All right. I'm going to skip that one, which means I need to do one extra because 7. What's the weirdest rabbit hole you've ever gone down online? You go down a lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
I think.
It would be very difficult to pick the weirdest. I don't know. I mean, there's been millions of them.
And they're all equally weird
and awesome, and I love the minutia stuff so much that I end up in like learning the history of dental tools for no particular reason.
Do you know anything about the Zizians? Have you heard that term?
I did listen to the beginning of that podcast.
Yeah,
and I am intrigued.
Yeah, it's a trip, man, and it's like obviously going to be a multi-parter because they didn't get through the whole story in one episode. This is Behind the Bastards. The latest episode of Behind the Bastards is about the way they describe it is a Harry Potter fan fiction inspired death cult that has led to actual murders.
But it's like a trans death cult.
Well, Robert Evans says that it seems like the fact that many of these people are trans is a mere coincidence. It's not implicit to the ideology of the group, but a lot of them are trans, and a lot of them are also like San Francisco tech professionals.
Oh, so that conflation probably happens more frequently than the other one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if you had to live inside a board game, this is your final question.
Okay.
If you had to live inside a board game, which one would you pick?
Mousetrap.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, but why would you want to live inside Mousetrap?
Because it's the only one that has cheese.
It's the only one that has cheese. Well, listener, if you can think of another board game that has cheese in it, please do let us know. Send an email to youraleatoricreality@gmail.com, and we can prove Damon wrong.
I mean, you just mean like in the box or like perpetual?
The way I was imagining that was it's that board game come to life. Like you would be the size of one of the mice, and that contraption is real, and the diving guy has actual water in his bucket that he jumps into, and it'd be mayhem all the time.
It would have to be Mousetrap because it's the only game that you had more fun putting together than actually playing.
Right.
So, I mean, Monopoly
which is
would
weird
be
that's
tedious.
no longer an element of Mousetrap. In the more recent editions of Mousetrap, you begin the game by setting up the whole contraption.
Oh, really?
Which to me, that defeats the purpose of the game. The whole fun of that game is building it as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
No, either.
Some games don't need to be innovated because they are already perfect.
No, it'd be
Mousetrap.
Fireball Island.
What's Fireball Island?
It's a board game.
I've never heard of it or played it.
My old band wrote a song about it.
What is the game?
It's called Fireball Island, and you have to it's pretty much Joe versus the volcano. The game.
You have to jump into a volcano and meet 3 Meg Ryans.
Yes. No. It's just a volcano based game. But
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to think of cool.
I mean, it'd be cool to live near a volcano as long as you didn't get lavaed, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would not like to be lavaed, please.
All right. Well, that's all I got. How about a listener challenge? I'm going to issue the listener challenge that I came up for the last episode that you superseded with Etsy because it was relevant. We were talking about dice, and you're like, go look for some dice on Etsy, which was cool. Cool idea. But the one that I came up with that is not relevant to anything we've ever discussed, except I think we have mentioned the random dice walk, which this isn't exactly that, but it might give you a little taste, because in season 2, if the dice are kind, we will be going on a random dice walk and recording remotely.
Oh, cool.
But for this little preview, the junior version, I would like you to roll an 8-sided die, or if you don't have one or can't obtain one, you can also go to yar.quest/tools, use our little tool to get yourself a random number from 1 to 8, and then that's going to determine a compass direction, wherein 1 is north, 2 is northeast,
Gotcha.
3 is east, etc., until 7 is west, and then 8 is northwest. So you go all the way around the compass based on which number you roll, you go in that direction, and then you can, if you want to, set a duration, or if you want to do expert level, you could roll for your duration, roll a 6-sider, and you could give it like times 5, like 5 minutes per pip, or if you want to get really in depth, you could do like 10 minutes per pip, so it could be potentially be an hour. Go in that direction for that amount of time and see what you discover. You can walk or drive or however you want to do it, but pick a random direction and go in that direction for a randomly determined amount of time, provided that you're not like falling in a lake or something.
Right.
Have some common sense, but just go in that direction and see what turns up and be open to new experiences. And this is essential for this listener challenge. You must report back what you encounter by sending an email to youraleatoricreality@gmail.com. And that's youraleatoricreality@gmail.com. Gmail is Gmail. I'm wondering, have we gotten very few emails just because people don't know how to spell aleatoric?
It's possible.
I keep telling myself that.
I think we should also, as an optional secondary inverted version of your dice walk, create a pirate map where you roll the same cube, and you roll a d20 for paces, and then you make a pirate map. You roll how many steps you make, like how many,
and which way to turn by the 8-sider roll.
Yep, and then you roll. So you roll for how many steps there are in the puzzle or whatever. Then you use the compass to do direction, and then you roll d20 or 100 if you feel really advantageous, and then you could write that's how many paces, and then you can make a pirate map, and then you could leave that somewhere for somebody to find and see if they follow it.
And bury an actual treasure at the X spot.
Yeah.
You could do this in a public park.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell them that I told you to bury a treasure there, but you should do it anyway.
Yeah. No, but I thought that would be like kind of the pocketing.
I mean, you could have saved this for the season finale of season 2. You always got to one-up my listener challenges.
It just popped into my head.
Yeah, and it's a great idea. It's more robust than the one I had. So, okay, so you're going to roll for whether to do mine or Damon's.
No, dude. I mean, I don't know if you.
Yeah, or do both.
Yeah.
Pick one or do both, or roll for it. We're not your boss.
That'd be a cool, fun thing you could do with your kids too, though, like in the backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Both parts of it.
You sure can. Well,
don't fall in a well.
Thanks for listening. Please tell a friend or an enemy, depending on whether or not you like the show. If you don't like the show, you're probably not still. Well, probably nobody's still listening at this point.
I think there are people listening.
All the way to the very last